Welcome to Behind the Sofa. Welcome to episode 0. My name's Ollie.
And I'm Kirsty.
And we're going to talk to you about horror movies. So, I love horror movies. I don't know about you.
I do.
Well, you better, because otherwise this is going to be a real short podcast. But I always love horror movies. There are so many blind spots in my knowledge, though. I would think there's like a big stretch of time where I think I've not seen any of these movies. You know, movies that are listed on top 100s, top 10s. So I guess this is kind of like the Dum Dum's guide to the top 100 horror movies of all time. So Kirsty and I, we're going to talk about one movie every week. We're going to review it. We're going to say what we liked, what we didn't like. And what else? What else are we going to say?
A few facts here and there. We'll take you through the movie, but also hopefully the making of, or just the bits and pieces that we liked about it, I think.
And then I think what we'll do is we'll try and craft our own top 100 using the Time Out top 100 horror movies of all time as kind of like a skeleton framework. Because already I've been through the lists, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's a bunch on there where I'm like, I've never seen it. I don't agree with its placement. This is nonsense. How dare you? I'm going to march on the Capitol. But I don't know. I feel like we're just... Here's the thing, guys. We're discovering this at the same time as you. So, yeah. So, anything you want to say before we get started?
I think we've already had some arguments about placement on the list, so it would be quite interesting to hear other people's views on it as well.
Here's the thing as well. If it sounds like Kirsty and I are arguing like an old married couple, it's because we are married, okay? So as soon as the mic goes off, then I feel like I'm going to get like an Andy Cap rolling pin round the head. So she's scowling at me.
Oh, wonderful stereotype you're perpetuating there. I'm so glad this is starting so well.
It's on tape. I can't take it back. The other thing I wanted to say is that although it's a horror movie podcast, the thing that I'm most scared about today is the fact that I ate a giant burrito for lunch. So let's hope that there's no callback to that later on. Right. So without further ado, I think we should crack on and go through this list. So take it away, Kirsty. Tell us how you're going to do it.
Okay, so we're just going to run quickly through the list. We're going to have a look and see whether it would be that we've seen it together, whether one of us has seen it, whether the other one has not seen it, and just the shortest description of each movie, which is hopefully going to be accurate, but be enough that you'll understand and maybe be interested in watching.
If I'm giving the description, there's no way it's going to be accurate. It'll be like, think about this guy, and stuff happens, and but yeah, right. So the list will be posted up on our social medias, which you can find at
Behind the Sofa Podcast on Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, love. So simple. I can't be bothered with all this oblique references to different things. So yeah, Behind the Sofa Podcast on Facebook and on Instagram. So we'll post the list up there, so you can all go and have a look and read it and say, I agree with that, or you guys are bang out of line. Right, so without further ado, what's at number 1? So we're going to go 100 to 1. Okay.
Makes sense.
I don't know why we'd start at 1, but there you go. I'm getting more and more bored of this list as we go. Right.
Okay, so at number 100 is The Babadook.
The Babadook. Now, I've seen that. We've seen that together.
We have seen it together. So this came out in 2014. It's based around the idea of a monster in a storybook. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, we're going to try not to... What we'll do is, at the end of each episode, we'll tell you what we're going to review or talk about next week. So we'll give you guys a good chance, and we'll tell you where to go and buy it and everything. Hopefully you've got a bunch of them on your streaming services, or you've got a bunch of Blu-rays or DVDs or whatever.
Or illegal downloads, you know. We don't judge. We don't judge.
I don't condone that. I do not condone that. So yeah, Babadook number 100. You know, I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag here. I really like the Babadooks.
Yeah,
to see it at 100, the rest of these other 99 films must be pretty shit hot. So, what's at number 99?
99 is Frank Darabont's The Mist. So, literally, the shortest description that I could give you for this is a bunch of people trapped in a shop, and there's some mist, and it was written by Stephen King.
Some mist.
There is some mist.
Well, I've seen it.
Yep, same.
Okay.
I don't think we've seen it together though, so it'd be interesting to watch it again and pull it apart a little bit.
It was a more carefree time when I saw number 98.
98 is the first introduction of George A. Romero on the list.
The master of zombie movies.
But this is actually a vampire movie.
What?
This is a movie called Martin. It came out in 1976, and the eponymous Martin believes that he is an 84-year-old vampire and goes around preying on women. There's obviously a bit more about that, but
I've never seen this movie.
Me neither.
I've never seen it, so this is the first one on the list that we've not seen. So this should be interesting.
Yes.
Number 97.
97 is 1976's God Told Me To. Now this is about an investigation into murders, and all the people who have been accused of the murders have all said that God told them to do it. And that's all we got.
I've never heard of this film. Never heard of it.
No.
Never seen it.
No.
Here's the thing. I'm sure. I think this podcast is going to be for newbies and old hands alike.
So there probably will be some people shouting at home, just going like, how have you never seen that?
Oh my god, I feel like there's going to be a lot of that. There's going to be a lot of that.
Sorry.
So, hopefully it's amazing. But there you go. What's next?
96 is It Follows.
If you love a synth soundtrack, then you're in for a treat.
It's so good.
We've seen this one together, right?
Yeah, really enjoyed it.
I just realised it was directed by David Robert Mitchell, which sounds like a mashup of the Peep Show.
Yeah,
guys.
It would be amazing if it was, but sadly,
unfortunately not. No. Super Hands makes an appearance.
Yeah.
So if anyone's not seen it,
anyone who's not seen it, it kind of turns the whole like virgin horror trope on its head a little bit. And to me,
sexy ghosts.
No.
I don't know. I was pretty turned. No, wait.
Sexy ghosts.
I don't think I was. It's probably wrong to say I was turned on, and It Follows. It's pretty gross.
I'd be a bit worried if you were.
Now the next movie, I was definitely turned on when I watched. What is that number? 95.
Number 95 is Society by Brian Usner. Now, I have not seen this. Ollie obviously has.
I've seen it. I've seen it a few times.
Wrongness.
It's pink and sticky, and there's. If you've never seen Society, I just want you to go in knowing nothing.
Yeah.
And then just have a puke bag. Other than that, I would say nothing.
You did tell me that. So, like, the shortest description that I can give for that.
I feel like you should. It's about a teenager finds out that his parents are involved in a blank.
Ooh.
I feel like. Even
secrets.
I feel like it's so fucked up that I feel like you just don't want to know anything. Okay. Number 94.
94 is Scream.
See, now this, I'd say...
There's literally no introduction needed. I'm pretty sure anyone who's listening to this, even if you are like as basic in your horror movie education as I am, maybe, you've seen Scream. You know what it's about.
Wes Craven's... I was going to say his last film. It's not his last. Scream 4 was his last film, but still... Yeah.
This is the only one of the Scream movies that shows up on this list, though. Spoilers
for the list. So I was expecting Screform to be somewhere high up the top. Number 93.
93 is Reanimator. 1985.
The year I was born.
Oh, you're so old.
Flashback. A hospital in Chertsey.
A medical student.
An experiment gone awry. I've seen this film. I love this film.
I have not seen this film.
Oh God, I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We're coming. I'm just going to stop here. We're coming in with some heat in the top 10. Reanimator.
Top 10?
Well,
the top 10 of the top 100? The bottom 10?
The bottom 10.
Bottom 10. Okay. Good.
It's a robust bottom. a power bottom, if you will.
It really is. It really is.
It's a power bottom. Right. Okay.
92. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
So, if you've ever seen Guardians of the Galaxy, get prepared to look at Michael Rooker in a whole different light, is all I'll say.
I love Michael Rooker.
1986, John McNaughton.
So this is anyone who has a bit of a love for true crime, serial killer stories and things like that. You've probably either seen this or you'd be quite interested in seeing it. So this is it a biopic? Do you think?
No. It's very loosely based
on Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole, who were a pair of drifters and serial killers who paired up.
Yeah, like
sounds like fun.
Like Batman and Robin.
Really nothing like Batman and Robin, but I've not seen it.
I've seen it, and
Okay.
it's not a date movie. Let's put it that way. Number 91.
91 is Brain
Kirsty
Dead.
keeps going for a sip of water,
I'm
but
so
I
sorry.
keep talking to her every time she's putting the glass up to her mouth. Take a sip now. Take a sip now.
Right, ready?
Take a sip. She's sipping. Okay. She almost spat out her nose. Right,
It was
okay.
good. Okay, so yeah,
91.
91 is Brain Dead. Brain Dead. So
or for
less
you Yanks out there, Dead Alive.
That's the worst title.
Isn't it? Terrible title.
What does it mean? Okay.
It's dead. I think it's dead / alive or stroke alive.
No,
not into
Brain
it.
Dead. So Brain Dead was about 9 years before Peter Jackson became super duper famous for what was it?
Meet the Feebles. No, it's in for Lord of the Rings. So all you Peter Jackson fans out there, to be fair, I don't want to start giving mini reviews, but you can see the creativity that goes into Lord of the Rings was kind of founded in some real schlocky DIY budget gore movies. It's probably the most splatter I've ever seen in a movie. I'm sure someone will tell me I'm wrong, but okay, let's just go. Number 90.
Number 90.
From Brain Dead onto this one, we're classing it up a little bit.
So number 90 is Dead Ringers by David Cronenberg. Came out in 1988. So this is Jeremy Irons playing identical twin gynecologists.
Okay.
That's all I know.
If you went and saw...
I do not remember seeing it. I may have seen it.
I feel like you've seen it.
Yeah, but I don't think I've watched it with you.
Yeah, you
so,
have.
Really?
Yeah.
I feel like...
I'm so certain that you've seen it with me. I feel like I've seen it within the last 4 years, and I can't imagine myself just watching it on my own.
That would be a bit
Because I
weird.
need someone to hold my hand. Number 89.
89 is Day of the Dead.
Day of the Dead.
George A. Romero.
So the second George A. Romero film already.
Yeah.
Because we've already had Martin. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Day of the Dead, which is the third of the Dead trilogy.
Uh-huh.
Probably the last good one.
Yeah, I've just put the description as there's people trapped in a missile silo and there's zombies.
That's pretty much it.
That's basically it.
Number 88.
88 is going way back. So this one, we've had so far, the movies have been we've had one from the last 10 years, one or two from the last 10 years. We've had a couple of 70s, a couple of 80s.
A lot of 80s by the looks of it.
And then we're going all the way back to 1927 for Todd Browning's The Unknown.
That says it all, because I know the Freaks by Todd Browning, but I do not know this movie.
Yeah, so this was before Freaks. So this is, but it seems to be fairly similar. It's a silent carnival movie. It has Lon Chaney in it. It's You know,
will it annoy you when we watch it? Because it's a silent carnival movie. If I make the carnival sounds and the mute,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. I think I'll be okay without that.
Okay, right.
So 87.
Yeah,
87. So 87 is Session 9, which I've heard of, but I don't think I've seen it.
I've never seen this. I've never heard of it. I don't know anything about it.
I kind of like films where they are a little bit vague in the title and there's a number. They're quite...
Give example.
Does that have to be horror?
Okay, maybe not.
You know, like when you have like
the only
District 9 is a good one.
There's lots of 9. Plan 9 from outer space.
Maybe 9. Why 9?
Sessions. Okay.
That's a whole nother podcast. That's fine.
Asbestos workers go into an abandoned insane asylum. Scary things happen.
This was my notes. This
Okay.
is literally it. So,
That's vague.
Yeah, I like that. That's
I
good.
like it vague. Now, number 86.
I'm not looking forward to this one.
I have seen... Okay, so what is it?
This is Salo, or The Last 120 Days of Sodom. Is that... yeah?
The title. The
Okay.
title says it all.
Okay.
I've seen this one so many years ago. I'm going to say... I was about to say 20 years ago. That would have made me 13. There's no way I watched it when I was 13. Over 10 years ago. Way over 10 years ago. The last time I watched it, it was... I recommended it. I didn't recommend it having seen it. I just recommended having seen it. And one of the people that I watched it was retching through most of it. So that's a good indication of what we're in for.
Yay.
So what is it about?
So I've literally put one line. A bunch of fascists round up some teenagers and subject them to horrifying torture.
Yeah. That's what's going on from my best recollection. 85.
Number 85 is Phantasm.
This is the one on the list that I've not seen that I'm appalled to say that I've not seen.
Yeah, same.
I've heard of it a million times. This is one of those ones where I really do think that my love of horror movies comes from when I was a kid, and I think Kirsty used to live pretty close by.
Yep.
And I would go to a little video rental place called Ottershaw Wines. Is that where you used to go?
No, I used to have. I don't know if anybody else who's listening from the UK had the same thing, but around sort of like late 80s, early 90s, there was a van that used to come round. This, stay with me, this sounds really scary, but
I was going to say, my parents would not let me
really
get in any vans with any men.
Hey guys, we got videos, you can get in here, it's fine. No, these people used to come around and they had a van and it was decked out with shelves filled with videos, VHS tapes and things like that. And once a week I got to go and rent one.
Imagine if you saw that nowadays, you'd be like...
Video, yeah, just
kids,
like loosely
get
painted on the side of a white van, videos.
Get in the house, lock the door. There's no way. There's no way. But anyway, what I was about to say and what I'm sure Kirsty's about to say, I think that my main reason for loving horror movies so much is back in the day when I was at Ottershaw Wines or Kirsty was in the dodgy rental truck. The artwork on these movies, like you would see those giant chunky VHSs behind all the rest of the videos. In my one, they were kind of close to the pornos as well. So I wonder if that's kind of like, I've just said it out loud now for the first time, and it's kind of making a weird link in my brain. But the artwork on those videos, I remember Phantasm and House and Puppet Master. I remember them so vividly, it's crazy. I remember can't have been older than 8 years old, and going on holiday and seeing a poster for either Critters or Critters 2, and it was right by where we were staying, and every time we walked past it, my parents would have to drag me away from it because I just wanted to stand and stare at it all the time. So yeah, I feel like there's going to be a lot of talk on this podcast about the artwork for these movies.
And we'll share our favourites.
Yeah,
as well.
definitely. So
but yeah, Phantasm was one that stuck in my mind. I'll put up the picture on Instagram, but it was a woman screaming, hands in front of her face, but her eyes, you could see them through her hands, and for some reason I just put my hands over my face while I was talking. That was a bit weird, but Yeah, it was. It definitely stuck with me, and like that amazing artwork. I'm happy that we're seeing a bit more of it coming back. Like it's having a bit of a resurgence. So maybe we'll like share some of our favourite, more recent
for sure.
revivals.
But like I said, it's one of those films where I feel like I know so much about it, but I've never seen it.
But all I have is it's a teenager investigating strange deaths in their hometown.
That is
That's it.
From what I know of Phantasm, that does not sound like what I know. So there we go.
Yeah, but we don't want to give anything away. So.
Okay. 84. I feel like we're. So where are we? 80. Yeah, 84.
84 is The Orphanage. So this is 2007 by J.A. Bayona. I apologise if I'm mispronouncing that. It was like
pronounced boner.
Who's like the protege of Guillermo del Toro, who I really, really love. So
Never heard of him.
I'm quite excited. Shut up.
I was talking about Guillermo del Toro. I was trying to be funny. I was being a jerk.
Okay.
Yeah, Orphanage. I've seen it. You've seen it?
I've seen it.
I love it. Good film.
That's great. So that is this lady who grew up in an orphanage. She goes back and buys it. She had a wonderful time at it, which is not a story that you hear that often from people who grew up in orphanages.
No.
So it was nice to hear that bit. But she buys it. She's in the middle of doing it up. Her son then disappears mysteriously. And that's all we're going to say about that.
83.
83 is the classic.
You've got to say it. You've got to say it in the
1958.
voice.
I'm not saying it in the voice.
Can I say it?
You can totally say it in the voice.
Dracula. Dracula.
Dracula.
Las Vampire.
So this is the 1958. This is the Christopher Lee Dracula.
Is it 58?
Yeah.
Not 68? Wow, 58.
I'm concerned now.
I reckon it's
Have I
6.
got my
I
facts
reckon
wrong?
it's 68.
Have I got time to
No,
look this
don't
up?
Google it.
No?
We live
Okay,
in
I'm
we
not
live in
gonna
our
do it
errors. You got to stew.
Okay.
You got to sit in it.
Oh, no.
So yeah, the Christopher Lee one.
Yes.
Dr. Van Helsing searches for his friend Jonathan Harker, and what did you discover? Dracula.
Oh, you didn't do it in the voice.
Oh, wait. What did you discover?
You gotta do it every time now.
Dracula. Cool. Right.
Yeah, so we're ready for that.
82.
82 is Black Sabbath, so first time that we've seen Mario Bava on this list, which is kind of amazing. So
Yeah, Mario Bava is one of these guys I know. I feel like I hear him mentioned all the time. I know there's a second one as well, isn't it? Umberto Bava.
there is.
There are like 2 Bavas.
Okay.
And I've seen.
He doesn't show up on this list though.
No, okay.
No.
So I've seen Bay of Blood.
Yeah.
And I can't remember whether that's Mario Bava or Umberto.
I'm pretty
Bava.
sure it's Mario Bava, but
Okay.
I could be wrong.
So expect lots of really, really bright red blood.
Yay.
But yeah, I've not seen it.
Yeah, so this one is 3 stories, and I think it was also known as the 3 Faces of Fear, or they love to have multiple titles.
Yeah, Italians love messing around with movie titles. Like Zombie Flesh Eaters has about 8,000 names. So if you're ever looking for it, what's the next one? I love this one.
Yeah, next one is the 1978 release of Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So this is Donald Sutherland.
I love that movie. Great. It's got such a cool cast as well. Such a 70s cast.
It really does.
Leonard Nimoy, Donald Sutherland.
Yeah, I was surprised at how many people are actually in it.
Okay, I like that.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. So we've watched that together. I think we've watched it separately at different points, but it is great. So
Yeah,
number 80.
yeah.
Number 80 is Wolf Creek.
Blimey, Struth. When in 20 episodes time, when we get round to Wolf Creek, there's going to be so many bad Australian accents from me. I hope you're all ready for it.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't seen it, Wolf Creek came out in 2005. And the premise is that there's a bunch of backpackers in the Australian outback, and they get hunted by a psychopathic killer.
That was one of those movies where I felt like I heard a lot of hype for it, and I kind of expected it to be one thing. I was really kind of like, oh, that sounds lame. I'm not going in for that. I'm not going in for this modern hype horror movies. And when I saw it, I was blown away. I thought it was so good. It completely smashed my expectations. So yeah, I've only seen it once though. Maybe
It's not one of my absolute favourites. So I'd be quite interested to take it and look at it with a bit more of a critical eye, I think. So
This for me is this next one, 79, is maybe, when I was reading through the list, one of my most controversial placements. What is it, Kirsty?
79 is A Quiet Place, 2018, directed by John Krasinski.
Big tuna.
Yeah.
From The Office.
It's basically Jim Halpert from The Office, who's got a bit more jacked, and he's
all right.
with his family, and they are surviving in a post-apocalyptic world where they are not able to make, or not allowed to make, any sound.
Okay.
And then we find out why. I enjoyed it, but I am interested as to how it managed to beat all of the ones that we've gone through so far. To like lower down in the list, or higher up in the list even. Yeah. So yeah.
Like I said, I don't want to go in too much into my inner thoughts and workings.
No,
but
we'll save that for the episode.
Seems real high. Real high. Next one, 78.
78 is Ginger Snaps 2000.
Okay.
So that's not Ginger Snaps 2000. It's not like a futuristic Ginger Snaps. It was Ginger Snaps, and it came out in 2000.
2001, A Ginger Snap Odyssey. But I've never seen this movie.
I have not. I had a friend who absolutely loved it and would always recommend it to me, but I never actually watched it. I know basically what it's about.
Yeah, don't tell. I don't
want to be. I'll be vague. It's fine. So there's two sisters in it. One of them is attacked by a mysterious creature. That's as much as we're saying, and they have to make sure that they're teamed up so that they save the one who's been attacked.
That was really vague. I can't remember. There you go. Okay, what's the next one?
Next one is The Fog. So we've had The Mist. We're now going into The Fog. So this is 1979.
Next we'll be having the Spritz and what else?
Slight smattering of cloud.
It's spitting.
Make sure you wear a jacket.
Yeah.
This is 1979. This is the first time that we've seen John Carpenter on the list, I believe.
Wow. Makes sense. He's kind of the master, so I wouldn't expect him. Yeah. His horror movies, I wouldn't expect to be any kind of lower than that. Mm-hmm. I've never seen The Fog, and I love me some John Carpenter.
I have. Oh my God. Okay, so yeah, you see, I thought that you had actually seen that one because I had you listed on there. No. So yeah, this is the first John Carpenter on the list. It is a good one. I remember seeing it many years ago, and to the point where if you watch a horror movie when you're quite young, it tends to stick with you. So this one has stuck with me a little bit. So I'm quite excited to revisit it because it's been, oh my God, a long time.
Were you scared when you saw it?
Yeah. I remember watching it. It was me and my friend. We were having a sleepover at her house. And we decided that it would be a great idea to watch it. And it was one of those ones where one of you jumps and screams, which makes the other one jump and scream. And it's kind of the best way to watch a horror movie. And,
for sure.
So yeah, looking forward to that one. So that's 77. So 76. This is one we've watched together, definitely.
Yep.
Okay. So this is
Get Out.
Mm-hmm.
Get Out. Get Out.
It doesn't really work in an English accent.
Yeah, imagine if you're northern, you're saying it. Get out. There's loads of. My sister-in-law says "get out" all the time, and yeah.
So this was 2017. This was Jordan Peele. So if you know of Key and Peele, this was quite a surprise to a lot of people in a really good way. I really enjoyed it. I
enjoyed it. Sometimes I feel like when newer movies come out, they just automatically get bumped up like a bunch of places, and I often think, is that just because it's fresh in the mind? Is it really any better than a bunch of these other films? But I that's not to say I didn't like it. I really did enjoy it, but it's more the placement that I'm kind of the same, I guess, with Quiet Place.
That's probably why Quiet Place is there.
Yeah,
they're both fairly recent. But
next one.
Did we not want a description of Get Out? Or
okay. Yeah, of course. No, go for it. Go.
Okay. Yeah, so Get Out is basically a guy and a girl go into the country to go and meet the girl's parents. What initially seems to be sort of awkwardness over the fact that the guy and the girl it's an interracial relationship. it ends up not being that and something else entirely. But
Okay.
we'll leave that. So
What's next?
next, 75 is Hellraiser.
Hellraiser.
Now, we've watched this one together, haven't we?
Yeah,
So
and I only saw this one fairly within the last year or so, I'd say. I was blown away. I thought it was so good.
Yeah. So this was 1987.
Yeah.
So 80s horror. It was great. The description is basically that there's a guy who's found a pretty box. He's playing with it and unwittingly opens a portal to hell. So
Lots of trips to Cyberdog for the costuming. I don't know if any of you guys know Cyberdog in Camden, but there's lots of leather leashes and spikes and weirdness. Not a lot of day glow though. It's all black.
yeah.
Yeah. What's next?
74 is Mario Bava again with Black Sunday.
Okay.
So, I think, if I remember rightly, let me just go back. Right, so, yeah. What happened with Black Sunday was it was actually such a hit that he had to, like, quite quickly hurry out Black Sabbath, which is at number 82 that we discussed earlier. So, this is Bava telling the story of a witch who vows revenge on the descendants of those who burnt her at the stake.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah. Anything witchy, culty, supernatural is going to be my thing.
I was going to say, I feel like when we talk about horror movies, like witch and cult stuff always seems to be that's
my favourite.
your go-to.
Yeah,
it's a happy place.
Folk horror, it's good stuff.
Cool. Yeah, so I've not seen that, neither of you, so I'm looking forward to that one.
So 73 is Black Christmas. So this came out in 74. When I was looking up this list, I actually found out that Blumhouse are announcing, or have recently announced, that they're doing a remake of it. So hopefully by the time we get to that, we'll have a little bit more interest, or a little bit more information about it even.
So Blumhouse are the guys that did like Happy Death Day and what else did they do? They do The Conjuring. Is that them?
Maybe.
James Wan? Does he work for Blumhouse? I don't know. Anyway, we'll figure this stuff out as we go. But yeah, so yes. Black Christmas. All I know about Black Christmas is that it's like the proto slasher. So before Halloween, before Friday the 13th, there was Black Christmas. So I'm looking forward to seeing how, which of the tropes, which of the classic kind of slasher movie tropes come from Black Christmas. So that'll be interesting to watch.
It's a good old sorority house horror, basically.
Yeah.
So, excuse me. So 72 is Aliens. Sequel. 1986, James Cameron, and all I've written from this, because I'm sure that everyone who's listening to this has watched this. If not, then you really probably should right now, immediately.
I think that this is one of the first ones where I'm starting to think about throwing up the "it's not a horror movie" flag. But what do you reckon? Is that horror movie? Is Aliens a horror movie? I always thought it was more like an action movie. I guess it's got like scary aliens in it, so okay, yeah. I'm not saying, oh my god, I love Aliens so much. So I'm not going to argue about it really, but
it's a survival horror. That's the thing. Like, horror can go across so many different types. There was a bit of a gap. I think there's going to be ones on here that we're going to think are going to be more like thrillers rather than horrors, but we can always discuss like whether we feel it's whether it fits in the list or not. But there's a few on here that I think that Aliens belongs on this list more than some of the others that we'll come across as we make our way through, I think.
Okay, so so that's 72, so what's 71?
So 71 is The Old Dark House. Now, this is 1932, and the only notes that I've written on this is 3 people take refuge from a storm in a house in Wales, and the inhabitants are weird.
Well, not to be rude to any of our Welsh listeners, but I'll let you complete that joke yourself. I've never heard of this. Now, I think you're going to start to see like a bit of a, what's the words? There's going to be some pattern emerging here, because I don't know, I'm sure you are the same as me. Once it goes like earlier than 1960, I feel like my horror knowledge is pretty poor. Have you seen? You've not seen like loads of early like.
No.
Okay.
No.
So yeah, I think we're there's going to be a big blind spot in our knowledge here.
Yeah, but we are like starting from the beginnings of horror, and hopefully we'll be able to see some of the, like you were saying earlier, you know, you'll be able to see like some of the connections and like where the more recent horror movie directors and writers have like taken their inspiration from. So I'm quite excited about it.
Cool. So 70 now.
Number 70 is Mario Bava again.
Mario Bava killing it.
Yeah, I can see like 3 on there so far. So this is Kill Baby Kill, which sounds more like it's going to be like a Russ Meyer.
Yeah,
like,
it's got some big booby ladies running around and in the desert.
It was the 60s, but I mean the description really doesn't sound like it. So it's a doctor investigating strange deaths in a village in Transylvania. So the title.
I wonder what the cause of death would have been in Transylvania.
Yeah. But I think, again, with the Bava movies, it's going to have, like, other... it's going to be, like, AKA titles. So there may be one that fits it a little bit more. We will obviously give that a little bit more of information when we have some facts together about it. But, yeah, so that was number 70. So we're now into the 60s. Number 69 is Cabinet of Dr. Caligari.
The classic film student friend. Although I studied film at university, I never saw this movie, which I feel like is...
This is the 1920 one. Is there... have there been remakes of it, or is it just this one?
I'm sure there must have been a remake of it at some point. Not that I'm aware of, but it seems like the kind of thing where maybe it's been done. Okay, but anyway, what's it about?
We'll do our research. So this is another silent carnival horror with a bunch of mysterious deaths.
Is that a horror subgenre? The silent carnival horror? Is that
That's my general aesthetic. Okay. I think is silent carnival horror. Yeah, so that's all we know about that one. So we're going back, like, the earliest. I think that might be the oldest film that we have on here is 1920. So we're so we're going all the way back.
Cool.
Yeah. So number 68 is 28 Days Later. Have you seen it?
No.
You have not seen it?
I've not seen it.
So I have, quite a few years ago, I think now. I can remember it mostly. Yeah.
I'm looking for... there's no reason why I've not seen it. It just happens to be one of those, you know, like a spot in my knowledge where I've not seen it. I don't really know much about it. I know they're running zombies.
Yeah.
Rage zombies?
Rage zombies.
Okay, so that's basically all I know. I know nothing about the plot of it. So
yeah, you're gonna.
Okay, cool.
That's good. So 67 is Night of the Demon by Jacques Tourneur. 1957. A man investigates his colleague's mysterious death, and his friend died when he was investigating a cult.
Okay.
So I am ready for this one.
I'm into it. I've not seen it, so that should be interesting.
Yep, we're good. 66. Another one from early 2000s now. So this is Switchblade Romance. So this is a French movie, came out 2003. I've just written French woman and friend visiting family attacked and stalked by psychotic truck driver.
Have you seen it?
No.
I have.
You have?
This placement in this list to me is absolutely baffling.
As in because it's good or because it's not good?
No, because it sucks.
Oh.
I did not like this movie.
Okay.
So maybe I'll go back to it with fresh eyes, but I remember the end particularly offending me. I remember it just being a real waste of time. But there you go.
Thanks for that. That's
okay.
Good. I'm glad.
So we're going to waste all your time
now. 65 is Pulse. So this is Kiyoshi Kurosawa, 2001. I've just written, it's like The Ring, but on computers. So sorry for anyone who's watched that and is now screaming at me for dumbing it down so much, because this movie shows up on a lot of lists.
Then, if I'm right, this is the first Asian movie we've had?
It is.
Wow. I used to fucking love Tartan Asia movies, like back in the early 2000s. Oh my god, I could not get enough. If it had the word Tartan Asia Extreme on it, I was buying it. But yeah, this one has missed me by this one.
Yeah, so I think I think there are a few more Asian and Japanese movies that are coming up in the list, but this is the first one, so...
Cool.
Okay. So 64 is The Beyond, and is the first time that we've seen Lucio Fulci on this list.
Isn't it the only time we see Lucio Fulci on this list?
Possibly.
But that name, if you're a horror person, should mean a lot to you. Zombie and a bunch of other awesome films. But yeah, this is... I've never seen this movie.
I'm so ready for this movie just from my own description that I've written. So, a woman inherits an old hotel, which turns out to be on the top of a portal that goes straight to hell.
Cool. I'm into it.
I'm
that
ready.
Sounds good.
I'm so ready.
Make sure you leave it a bad review on TripAdvisor. What's next?
63 is Lake Mungo.
For my money, the worst horror title on this list.
Yeah. It doesn't really strike fear into you, does
Lake
it?
Mungo.
No. Yeah, so this was 2008. So the little bit that I read about it was, I think it's Australian. And I think that it was at South by Southwest and did really well at South by Southwest. Everyone loved it. And then it kind of dropped off the radar. And then people started discovering it again, which led to it obviously being on this list. So this is a girl drowns and then weird unexplained things start happening in her family home. And that's all we got.
Okay.
So it could be
like I
good.
said, hopefully it surpasses the quality of its title, because Lake Mungo is atrocious.
Yeah,
anyway.
It's not great. 62 is The Night of the Hunter. So this is 1955. The old classic. Former minister attempts to seduce a widow to steal her executed husband's money.
Have you seen this?
No.
I've seen this.
You have?
Yeah, it's good. It's really good. Once again, I think it kind of treads that line between horror and thriller, but it's like whatever genre you put it in is a great movie.
Is it a sexy thriller?
No, definitely not. It's
like seduction thing. I thought.
No, it's like a priest hunting down two children.
Ugh.
There's no sexiness to it.
No. Okay.
Next up.
So this is, and I apologise for my French pronunciation. I'll try and get it. This is number 61. This is Le Diabolique. This is 1955. Henri Georges Clouzot. And a woman and her husband's mistress conspire to kill the husband. I was trying to work out how to write that properly. So two women, one is married to him, one is having an affair with him, and they conspire together to kill him. And that's all I got.
Wow, okay. Mm-hmm. I know nothing about that one. So...
No, me neither. So...
We're up to 60 now.
Yeah, so number 60 is Wreck. Now, I know that you've seen this. I've
seen this.
Not.
Some hunky firemen. That's all I remember.
That's all you remember?
That's all I remember. That's all I choose to remember.
Should I be concerned?
No.
Okay. So this is the first found footage, unless there's been ones that are out of the movies that we haven't seen, but I don't think there is. I think this is the first found footage horror on here.
No, I think isn't Lake Mungo? Oh no, wait.
No.
Okay.
Out of the ones we've seen, anyway, this is one that we know that is found footage. So there's a reporter who's covering firefighters. Please tell me if I'm getting this wrong. The reporter goes in covering a story about firefighters, but gets trapped in a building, and there are some slightly disturbing occupants in said building.
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty fair without giving too much away.
Okay.
59.
59, we're going back to the 1930s, so this is Vampire.
Vampire. You always got to say it with a w.
Vampire. Okay, so this is, like I said, 1932. Carl Theodor Dreyer, I will make sure I get pronunciation right when we get to this one. So this is a man who is travelling around. He discovers a girl who is slowly turning into a vampire, and then hilarity ensues. I don't know.
Never heard of it. Never seen it.
No,
so
me neither.
On to the next one. 58.
58 is Kwaidan by Masaki Kobayashi, 1964, and it is a collection of 4 Japanese supernatural folk tales.
Cool. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I'm into it. 57 is The Vanishing. This is 1988. You've seen this, haven't you?
So this is not the shit remake with, I think it's got Jeff Bridges in it. The remake has.
I love Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, but that is not a good version. This is the original version of the 88 version of it. I love this movie. This is a real downbeat one.
What's it about?
It's about a guy and his, I want to say girlfriend or wife, and they're driving and they have an argument, and she gets out of the car, and then she's never seen again. It's cool. It's a real, like I said, it's
Is that like the end? Like
no,
she gets out of the car and she's gone.
That's the start. That's the very, very start of it. And then stuff happens from there. Like I said, a lot of these movies, if you've never seen them, I don't want you to go in with any knowledge whatsoever, just like us. So yeah,
knowledge about anything.
Yeah, exactly. What's up next? 56.
56 is The Sixth Sense.
Okay.
Now,
M. Night Shyamalan.
It is. So this came out in 1999. I think it's been parodied so many times, and even if you haven't seen it, you know what the ending is. But I still really enjoy it. I really like this film.
I find it hard to separate it from the parody. I feel like it's almost been done too many times, even more than like The Exorcist or The Shining and things like that. I feel like I've seen so many like lazy, hacky Sixth Sense parodies that it's kind of like hard for me to separate it in my mind. But I'm definitely going to give it a go. I loved it the first time.
When was the last time you saw it? Because I know I've watched it myself recently, fairly recently.
I feel like I walked in at the end of your most recent rewatch of it, so not that long ago. So like I'm within the last 2-3 months.
Yeah. Okay, so 55 is Repulsion. So
controversial for a whole other different reason.
Yeah, this is Roman Polanski. We're trying to separate the guy from the art here. So yeah, so we have Repulsion 1965. So this is Catherine Deneuve playing a woman who has a phobia of men, but decides to go on a trip with a friend, and during the trip she slowly starts losing her mind.
Now I always get this one confused with The Tenant. I think it's The Tenant that I've seen. I've not seen this one though. Okay. 54 is going to be one of Ollie's favourites, so I'll let him talk all the way about this. 54 is Eraserhead by David Lynch. Another one of I love this movie, but another one of those ones where I'm like, is this a horror movie? With David Lynch films, I think there's a real subtle blurring of what is a horror movie and what is real life. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing this and seeing whether I agree with its categorization as a horror movie. I've seen it before. I'm not saying that, but with watching it with like, is this a horror movie in mind, or is it scary? I'd almost be tempted to put like Twin Peaks: Fire Walk with Me in there ahead of it, but that requires so much knowledge of what's happened before in the TV series that I can understand why it's not in the list. You know, you could have had Mulholland Drive, which for my money has got one of the scariest bits in it. Inland Empire. That's a great one. Lost Highway as well. There are, to be honest, most of his films are kind of like weird backdoor horror films, so I can understand. I mean, I'd say that Eraserhead is a body horror, wouldn't you? Not without giving anything too much away. No, not really. I wouldn't say it's a body horror. Okay. Thanks for that. Well, 52 is The Devils. Ken Russell, 1971. Now, you are convinced that we have watched this together. We've definitely watched this together. I do not remember watching this, and I think I would do, considering it's accusing people of witchcraft. Yeah, it would be one that I think I would remember. I just don't remember it. Maybe I will when we watch it again. I'll be like, oh yeah. It's Oliver Reed. Yeah. Looking like he's not suffered from years and years of drink at that point. 51 is The Descent, 2005. Now, I have seen this and you have not. I've not seen this. Okay. So, I just literally wrote in the notes, women on a caving expedition become trapped and there's something in there with them. That's all I'm telling you, because I don't want you to go in there. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Okay. So now we're into 50. So we're into So I know this episode is probably going to be longer than most of our normal episodes, but we've got to go through the list. So I hope you're all enjoying it. Right, so we're halfway through. So number 50 is Peeping Tom. So this came out in 1960, and the bit that I recall from just doing a little bit of research on it was that this was one of the ones that people were absolutely horrified by this film. So it'll be interesting to see whether it holds up as a horrifying film, or we can see why. But it came out the same year as Psycho, so
You know, it was a real...
From what I remember of this movie, it's like one of those like lost classics. Like I think it was so controversial in its time that they tried to basically like hide it and shut it down completely. And then years and years and years later, I feel like it got like a refound recognition from people like Martin Scorsese and lots of other famous directors. But yeah, I feel like I've seen parts of it, but I've never seen it. I couldn't give you like a full rundown of what happens.
Yeah, so I mean, all I've got on here is that there is a man going around murdering women. I'm pretty sure that probably starts from the very beginning, so it's probably not much of a spoiler. But uses his camera to film their last moments. So I can imagine people who weren't expecting that sort of thing from a film, the same way that people were horrified by Psycho in the same year, that they would have been like, how does this pass as entertainment? They would have been like absolutely like just pretty disgusted by it. So looking forward to that one. 49 is The Ring, or Ringu.
Ringu. I'd call it The Ring, but
okay.
You know.
But just to separate it from the American remake, which is not great. Sorry for anyone who likes it. This is the 1998 original Hideo Nakata one, so we know this. Again, I think it's been like parodied quite a bit, and everyone kind of knows the basic story of it. So there's a reporter who's investigating a video which apparently kills anyone who has viewed it within 7 days.
This movie is maybe the first one that we've come to so far that actually scared me. When I saw this, I saw it introduced by Mark Kermode. It must have been like 2001, 2002. And I remember I just got my own room. Me and my brothers used to share a room. And I just got my own room with my own TV. And I turned it on, and this was on. And it shit me up proper. So I'm really looking...
How old would you have been?
2000.
23.
Yeah, if it was like 2001, 2002, I would have been 17. Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah, I do have a funny story of my own to tell about this movie, so please remind me of that when we actually get to this one.
We'll get on it.
Note on there.
So 48.
48 is Invasion of the Body Snatchers again, but it is the 1956 version this time, rather than the Donald Sutherland one, which is at 81 in the list. So this one has actually beat the one that most people know, I think, outside of the horror community.
Okay.
So this again is
pod people,
pod people,
replicating people,
alien duplicates and things. So yeah, looking forward to seeing that. I think I've seen the remake, the Donald Sutherland remake, but I've not seen this one, so I'm looking forward to it. 47 is Dead of Night. This had multiple directors. I did not have space to write all of them down, so I will go into that a little bit more. This came out in 1945, and all I've written for this one is an architect has recurring dreams of impending doom.
We've missed one.
Really?
Yeah, I've just been looking.
Have we missed?
We've missed number 53.
Oh my god, we did miss it. 53. I got too excited. Sorry.
Okay,
so we'll
go back to Dead of Night for a second, and then we'll jump back to 53.
Yeah, so Dead of Night was an architect has recurring dreams of impending doom. That's all I got.
I've not seen it.
Yeah, so this is 1945. So
let's just jump back to 53 for a second.
So 53 is... I am so sorry that I missed this. This is the first time that we've seen Dario Argento on this list, and this is Deep Red.
I love this movie, especially the soundtrack. If anyone is a fan of Goblin, then you'll be happy. There's a bunch more Goblin in this list as we go further on. So
goodness.
yeah. So anyone who's not seen it, a psychic medium is murdered, and the man who discovered the body tries to find the killer.
That is like the basest description of this film.
Some great murders in this movie, like a real classic giallo. Dario Argento. If you don't know what giallo is, don't worry, we'll be going into that when we get to it.
So yeah, sorry about that. I'll make sure that I stick the list up on social so you can go through it in the proper order.
Yeah.
But now, jumping back to 46, this is The Others. Now, I remember that I'd watched this before you, I think.
Yeah,
and then
definitely.
I kept saying to you, you need to watch this because it's really good. I really enjoyed it. And it's just got that right amount of like creepy house, creepy things happening in a creepy house that I love. So So yeah, this is Nicole Kidman.
I remember not loving it loads, I've got to be honest.
I liked it.
So maybe my mind will be changed when we watch it. But that was the very first time I've seen it. So maybe going back through it a second time, I'll see something I like.
Yep. 45 though.
This is crazy to me. This placement on this list is bonkers.
45 is one of our all-time favourite movies that we watch at least once a year, if not more. And it's The Silence of the Lambs.
45. I mean, come on. That is so low down on the list. It's crazy to me.
Anyone who's not seen it, I mean, who are you really? But anyone who's not seen it, the like briefest description that I can give of it is a young FBI trainee attempts to catch a serial killer with the help of an incarcerated cannibal.
It's not going to be on the list, and I don't think it has any chance of getting itself onto the list. But if you've never seen Manhunter, go back and watch that. That's the very first Hannibal Lecter movie directed by Michael Mann. It's fucking great. If not, just for Tom Noonan, who plays the Tooth Fairy in it, which is really worth checking out.
Yeah, watch that over Red Dragon because it's not as
garbage.
good.
Right, on to the next one. On to 44.
44 is another Roman Polanski. This is The Tenant, as you mentioned earlier. So this is Roman Polanski himself playing a man who moves into an apartment and starts harbouring beliefs that his new neighbours, are trying to kill him. So does that sound familiar? Because you said
that does sound. I think it's The Tenant. I seem to remember. If I looked at the box art, I'm almost certain that I would remember, but I'm pretty sure it's The Tenant.
Okay.
Cool. What's 43? So I have seen that. I have seen The Tenant.
I have not. So I'm intrigued. Okay. 43 is Hour of the Wolf, 1967, Ingmar Bergman. This is I think the only horror movie that he did. Please correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think this is the only horror movie that he did. So this is an artist and his pregnant wife are on holiday, and the artist begins to have an emotional breakdown, and then other things.
I've heard of it. I've never seen it. I don't think I've ever seen. Now, I should go back and hand in my degree, because I don't think I've ever seen an Ingmar Bergman film. Not Seventh Seal, none of those, none of that
This is what
stuff.
this list is here for.
Exactly.
So, okay. 42, I'm very much looking forward to watching again because it's been a while. Is The Devil's Backbone by Guillermo del Toro, and I love Guillermo del Toro. So, yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. This came out in 2001. It is another orphanage-based film. I know the other one wasn't Del Toro, but he was involved, I believe.
I think he produced it, exec produced or something.
Yeah. So this is another one. So a young boy goes to an orphanage. He realises that it's haunted and begins to discover its secrets.
I like this movie. I don't remember it being 42 on the list good, but I remember it being good.
What, you think it was? It should be lower? It should be...
Yeah, I think it should be lower.
It shouldn't be in the 40s. Okay.
But like I said, it's been so many years since I've seen it that I could be way out on that.
Yeah. Okay.
41?
41 is Possession, 1981. A woman asks her husband for a divorce and then begins acting very strangely.
Is that the one with Sam Neill in it?
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
So I've heard about it, but I've not seen it. So I'm really looking forward to that one. Okay. I've heard it's excellent.
Yeah, I have not seen it either, so I'm looking forward to that. So now we're at number 40. I have made sure that I haven't missed any more out.
No, you're right.
Okay. Number 40 is Jacob's Ladder, that came out in 1990. This is Tim Robbins of Shawshank Redemption fame. So that is Tim Robbins, right?
Yeah.
I'm getting it right. And he plays...
Don't doubt yourself, darling.
No, I'm sorry. He plays a Vietnam War veteran who is having difficulty separating his delusions and reality. So expect lots of strange hallucinations and all sorts of odd stuff going on there.
Yeah, I've never seen this one.
Me neither.
I feel like I kind of had the ending ruined for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, don't ruin it for me.
I won't.
So, anyway. Okay. 39, you've seen, I have not seen, Cannibal Holocaust.
Now, Kirsty is not going to like this film. I'm telling you right now.
You think I'm going to prefer Salo over this, though?
Yeah, I honestly think you will.
Really?
I think Salo has a bad rap. It's not that bad. Salo is way more of like an arty. It's like an art project. Cannibal Holocaust is disgusting. and it seemingly has no artistic merit. It depends which version you watch. I feel like I've seen the super duper uncut one where there's so much animal mutilation that it's kind of really off-putting. We're also going to be talking to you guys who probably know a little bit more out there about which versions of certain films we should be watching as well, because me and Kirsty were talking earlier, and let's go back to Aliens, which is at 76 or something. There are about 4 different versions of Aliens, and all I can ever think is that the director's cut, even though it's got a bunch of fun stuff in it, is probably not the version to watch. Whereas, something like Cannibal Holocaust, maybe what fans would say is, the most, the kind of the best version of it is the completely uncut version. So we will we'll look around on the internet for what the opinions are, and also we'll ask you guys out there, and then we'll try and let you all know what version we're going to watch of each movie.
Anyway.
So now we're on to 38. Oh no, wait, we didn't really do a rundown of Cannibal Holocaust.
Okay, so what I've put on there is Professor on a rescue mission discovers lost footage from the missing documentary crew.
So, from my knowledge, this is like the original, the OG found footage movie.
That's true.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
it's got some fucking amazing effect in it. I think it's really unfair of me to say.
It came out in 1979.
I feel like it was pretty unfair to say it had no artistic merit, but it is. It's pretty grim. Let's just put it that way.
Okay. 38 is Eyes Without a Face. Now, this is one that I have not seen, but it popped up on a lot of lists when we were doing the research for this. So, I am looking forward to it. This was 1959. A surgeon causes his daughter's disfigurement in an accident and then goes to massive extremes to try and fix her.
I've never seen it.
No.
I feel like I've heard that name before, that Eyes Without a Face, but I don't know anything about it. Now, it is one that we've all heard of.
So this is number 37 is Frankenstein. This is the original 1931. So I believe these would have been the Ealing Studios ones. James Whale directing. We'll do a little bit more research into that when we get to this, when we get to 37. But this is obviously the classic tale of a doctor who is attempting to play God, building man from parts of corpses, all good stuff.
All the classics.
Yeah, so looking forward to that. And oh my god, 36. See, I cannot believe that this is a 36 because this is one of my absolute favourites. So at number 36 is The Wicker Man. And this is the original 1973. There is no Nicolas Cage anywhere on this list.
There's no bees. No bees in this one.
No bees.
Is it no Nicolas Cage on this whole list?
Maybe. I don't think so.
I'm trying to think of what horror movies he's done though. Like I know like Mandy, like recently, and like Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of any other like
horror
movies he's done.
There is no Nicolas Cage in this movie.
Okay, well that's all that matters, and thank Christ for that as well.
We're good. So, if you've not seen The Wicker Man, just it's so good. It's so good. So the basic premise is a very religious policeman played by Edward Woodward travels to a remote island to investigate the disappearance of a girl, and all sorts of interesting things start happening when he arrives. So it's just classic folk horror. It's exactly the sort of film that I like. I'm really looking forward to actually like reviewing it rather than just sitting there like joyfully watching it because it's just so good. I'm kind
of baffled by 36 on the list, but there we go.
We'll have a chance to shift it around, I think. So 35 is Carnival of Souls. Another carnival. We like carnivals.
Carnivals are kind of creepy, so I can kind of see why.
Yeah, so this was 1962 versus the 1920s carnivals that we've seen already. So all I've got for
a resurgence of the carnival genre.
Yeah, spooky carnival horror. What was it? Silent carnival horror. Yes. Yeah. So this is a woman is drawn to visit a carnival after she experiences a traumatic event. Now, I remember that there was a little bit more in the description than that, but I really wanted to keep it to like the absolute basics. So that is all we've got for that one. It's an excellent title, though. I'm really looking forward to that, Carnival of Souls. So And then
34.
34 is joining up with number 37. We have Bride of Frankenstein, who's actually beat Frankenstein to this.
I've heard it's the better of the two, so yeah, it kind of makes sense.
This was what birthed the classic Bride of Frankenstein. Huge tall hair with the white stripe down the side. It's just movie history. So I am looking forward to watching that, because I have not watched it. Have you watched it? No.
Like I said, if it was released before the year 1950, then or 1960, then there's a pretty huge chance I've not seen it.
Okay, 33 we have watched together fairly recently, and it was one of the ones that made me do a big swear at the screen in various points. So
do you remember what the swear was? Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, definitely. So this is Hereditary, which, again, there may be people who think that it belongs slightly lower in the list compared to some of the classics that were on here, but everyone I know who's watched it has really enjoyed it.
Of this recent crop of kind of
Smart
well regarded horror movies like Get Out and A Quiet Place, this is the best one.
Yeah.
Whether it's 33 bests, I'm not sure. But if any of these movies I was thinking I'm going to put really high on the list, it would be this one.
Yeah.
I just thought of a movie that's not on here. Is The Witch on here?
No.
The Witch isn't on here. Wow.
Right, we'll add that one on.
Okay, so what we're thinking of doing is every now and again we'll do a special episode where we'll take listener suggestions of films that they think should be on this list but are not, and then if they are, if we love them and everyone else out there loves them as well, we'll kind of stick them into the running when we do our rejig top 100 when we get to the very, very final episode.
So we have got, just looking back through the list somewhere.
What are you looking for?
So the next one is number 32 is Cat People, 1942, Jacques Tourneur. The description for this is amazing, but again, it is one that everyone. This is so Jacques Tourneur did Night of the Demon as well, was it? That was what I was looking back through. So yeah, the description of this is basically there is a Serbian woman who marries an American man, and due to the mythical stories from her home country, she is terrified that she is going to turn into a cat person if they are intimate together.
It's not the way I do it, but there you go. You're still human, right? She's still human.
Pretty
right. 31.
31 is Videodrome. So this is David Cronenberg, 1982. I have not seen this. You have.
I've seen this.
Because you went through a bit of Cronenberg phase at some point.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is, I don't like this as much as Dead Ringers, so immediately there's kind of a bit of a flip-flop here for me. But, it's a great movie. James Woods, he's a sleazy TV exec, and he discovers a weird, I don't know if it's a channel or a program,
TV show, yeah.
and it starts to fuck with his mind. So I'll be looking forward to watching that one again. I've not seen it in a while.
Okay, we're down to number 30. So
top
number
30.
Top 30. Number 30 is The Changeling. Now this is not the Angelina Jolie Changeling movie, which apparently is very good. But
I've seen it. Yeah, it's a great movie.
Does not belong on a horror movie list. So this is The Changeling. This is 1979. All I've got on that, to try and keep it as spoiler free as possible in this short description, is a man stays in a remote mansion and discovers that it is haunted.
Cool. I've never heard of it. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Yep. Number 29 is The Birds, 1963, Alfred Hitchcock. So
I've seen parts of The Birds, and I feel like I'm going at it with a modern moviegoer's kind of sensibility, and I just remember feeling like it was really cheesy. But
then I think people think that about Psycho as well. It's just, at the
there's
time.
No way.
There are definitely people who don't rate it, but then they're obviously not horror lovers as such, but they can't see why it's such a classic. But I reckon we could watch The Birds and you'd enjoy it. So essentially, a town is attacked by a flock of murderous birds.
Cool.
The end. 28 is...
Give me the biggest seed bell you have. No, that's too big.
Number 28 is The Evil Dead. 1981, Sam Raimi. We know that there's been a remake, but obviously we're going to go for the classic. So 1981, a bunch of teens go to a cabin in the woods, accidentally read from the Book of the Dead, and stuff happens.
Stuff does happen.
Stuff really does happen.
See, this is another one where I'm thinking, do I try and find the super uncut version? But then again, from what I hear, the super uncut version is basically just added tree rape. So I'm kind of like, is that really what we want? Is that what we want? But yeah, there you go. Yeah, spoiler. Tree rape someone.
Sorry. 27 is The Blair Witch Project. 99. So, 1999 it came out. It's at number 27 on the list. I still really like this film. I think it holds up. I remember seeing it in the cinema. Probably would have been better to see it at home, but seeing it in the cinema...
No, I've seen it in the cinema and I've seen it at home. Mm-hmm. Seeing it in the cinema was fucking great. Yeah. People were losing their shit. Yeah. Which I find is a very good way to watch a horror movie.
Yeah, it's amazing. I mean, like everyone knows this one. Again, it's another one that's like been parodied over the years. It's like everyone kind of knows what happened, but. It's found footage, documentary team investigating the legend of the Blair Witch in the woods. Yeah, that's...
This one for me stands out as like the first movie of the internet age. Mm-hmm. So this was...
People were still asking whether it was real or not.
I remember seeing like adverts for it and articles in the newspaper like... Is it real? Is it real? Yeah. And I think they did such a cool job.
People walking out of I remember the group of people that I went with to go and see it at the cinema, and we had there were people who were arguing within the group, people who believed that it was genuinely real. They were like, we've seen the missing posters, like we've seen them like advertise, we've seen the website and stuff like that, asking for information about these missing people, and people honestly believed it. So obviously now, people looking at it now, who weren't weren't around in that time, because that's scary. Like people who
the real horror.
There were people who were born in the year that this came out who are now 20. So that's quite terrifying. So people who went around in that time, and they know obviously about viral marketing and social media and everything like that. They would not understand just how good it was, believing that this was real. So yeah, we'll obviously go into that a little bit more, but safe to say we both love this film. So, 26 is Poltergeist. Now, I'm probably not going to be very popular in this, but I'm not. It's not my favourite.
I feel like I saw it in a time in my life where one thing I feel like I'm going to talk about a lot in this podcast is when you see a movie at a certain age, I feel like you'll forgive it certain. Transgressions, and I feel like I was too old when I watched Poltergeist.
Agreed.
To really kind of have that love for it. I enjoyed it, but I didn't love it. So, but it's directed by Tobe Hooper, or I should put in air quotes, it's directed by Tobe Hooper, because everyone says it's actually directed by Steven Spielberg. So
it does feel a bit Spielbergy. But yeah, I mean, we were speaking to a friend briefly about it the other day, and she mentioned about where Poltergeist was on this list, because it was one of her absolute favourites, and she mentioned that she had watched it as a child, and so it shit her up as a child. So I think that it definitely does make a difference depending on what age you watch it. I feel like there's going to be
a lot of use of the term shit me up, or totally shit them up, shit her up.
Yeah. Now 25 is The Omen, which came out in 1976. Now, I really like this film, and I've watched it a few times. You said you think you've watched bits of it, but I feel like you know the story enough.
Yeah, I feel like I know all of the main story beats of The Omen, but I don't ever remember a time where I sat down and watched it from beginning to end. There's not one scene in it where I would say, "Oh, I'm shocked." I didn't see that coming, because I feel like it's been watched in a weird kind of jigsaw piece way. So
watching it from beginning to end.
I'm looking for. Yeah, but yeah, directed by Richard Donner, a couple adopt a boy who they come to realise is something. I'm going to leave that last word.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes,
he's a bit different. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, he's just misunderstood. It's fine.
A lot of eyeliner. A lot of Cradle of Filth t-shirts.
Journal writing,
Yeah,
it's
there's
just
a lot
no
of
one
that.
understands him really, So yeah, 24 is Freaks, 1932, Todd Browning. So we have already had
Carnival of one of the Carnival movies.
yeah. So again, this is another silent carnival horror.
No, it's not. It's not silent.
Okay, so it's not silent. It's 1932. It is a carnival horror from the looks of it. So, a trapeze artist marries another performer who is deeply in love with her, and she marries him for the sole purpose of stealing his inheritance. But his friends decide to step in to try and stop it from happening. So, not entirely sure what they'll.
I've never seen it.
They'll do. No, me neither.
I feel like I know. I 100% know the story to it. I know how it ends and everything, but I've not seen it. I feel like I've watched a Treehouse of Horror, like a Simpsons Treehouse of Horror, that's ruined it for me.
Okay. 23 is Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. So this is like the original silent vampire horror. You've seen, you know the silhouette, you know what the guy looks like, you know it.
If you've ever seen the Far Show, then just think of Paul Whitehouse, Monster. It's that version.
Pretty much it, yeah. So 1922, silent horror. I'm really looking forward to it because I haven't actually seen the original. I've seen so many clips from it, but I've not actually seen the whole thing.
No, I've never seen it. For me, this Nosferatu is when someone says, what does Dracula look like? It doesn't look like Christopher Lee or, Brad Pitt and Antonio Banderas. It looks like this dude.
Yeah.
Cool. Number 22.
Number 22 is The Haunting. So this was 1963. This is actually the adaptation of The Haunting of Hill House. So anyone who's seen
It is?
Yeah. So but anyone who's seen the Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Netflix series, which is awesome, by the way. This is more like the book, the Shirley Jackson book, which again is really, really good. So the series itself is actually kind of loosely based on The Haunting of Hill House. This is like from the book, like I said. So this is a group of people who don't know each other. They go and stay in a house to investigate supernatural happenings, and supernatural happenings happen. But so it's very different to the whole family based thing that was in the Netflix series. But I would recommend them both. I haven't seen this.
It's got hasn't it got what's his name? Christ, what's the guy's name? Russ Tamblyn from Twin Peaks in it.
Possibly. We'll do a little bit of extra research, but yeah. So I mean, even if you've seen the series, The Haunting of Hill House, which is really great, I would say this is based on the book. So maybe read the book, or maybe go into it completely blind.
That's my favourite way.
Yeah,
I like knowing nothing.
Yeah. So 21 is Audition. Now I think Ollie was quite surprised that I'd seen this because it's Tartanasia, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have seen this?
Yeah, I have.
I thought you said you hadn't seen it.
No, I have.
Okay.
Yeah, so this was 99.
Takeshi Mike. So it's basically a guy who's lonely. I think he has a kid already. I think maybe his wife has died. And he is I feel like he's a movie director, or he's something in the media, and he basically sets up like a fake audition to try and find a wife, which sounds real sleazy. It sounds like he's going to be the bad guy, or maybe he is. But then he gets married to this woman who comes into the audition, and she turns out to be deeply crazy. I feel like that's not a spoiler.
Really?
Is it? No? No.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like it's established pretty early on that she's kind of crazy.
I mean, if you see the cover of if
it's on the cover,
box,
it can't be a spoiler.
Okay. Number 20. So we're into the 20s, and we go in with one that shit me up. It shit me up.
We're gonna get shirts printed that just say "it shit me up."
It totally shit me up.
behind the sofa, it shit me up.
So yeah, number 20 is Nightmare on Elm Street. So this is Wes Craven, 1984. None of the remake stuff. The group of teens have to fight a mysterious killer who hunts them in their dreams.
Here's a confession. When I was really young, I was in the Scouts And I used to lie to people and told them that I'd seen Nightmare on Elm Street to sound really cool.
You're so cool.
So cool.
You are so
and I was
cool.
like, I must have been like 9, and I was like, yeah, I've seen Nightmare on Elm Street. Didn't shit me up though. Didn't shit me up at all. But yeah, that's. But I have now seen it. I'm still not. I'm not lying about that. I probably have seen it.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a classic. It's great. Number 19 is Let the Right One In, which I think we watched together, but quite a long time ago. I really enjoyed it.
In a fledgling relationship.
Yes. I think a lot more. Do you think more people would know Let Me In?
No.
No?
Fuck no, they wouldn't.
Okay. So yeah, Let the Right One In came out in 2008, directed by Thomas Alfredson. And it's basically, the premise is it's a young boy who's been bullied a lot, and he befriends a child vampire.
Do you remember The Littlest Vampire?
Yes.
Okay.
It's not that.
I have seen it, so I do know that it's not The Littlest Vampire, but
Okay.
but I don't know why that just popped into my head all
Yeah,
of a
no,
sudden.
I'm totally visualizing it right now.
He was green, right?
No,
No?
I'm thinking of Mona the vampire.
Oh yeah, it's.
Right.
I think yeah.
Right, we'll put together a bunch of child vampire
comparison sheets for you all.
Yeah, when we get to Let the Right One In, which is at number 19. So number 18 is Cronenberg again, 1986, The Fly.
For me, you know what I mean? This whole list, this top 100 is kind of like, I've heard of that, I've seen that, that's good, that's not good. When it gets into the top 20, I feel like it starts to become pretty safe territory.
Like, yes.
There are one or two places I might think about switching round. But yeah, I think for the most part, the top 20 is pretty solid.
Good.
But anyway, so The Fly.
Yeah, so I've literally put on this list here, man attempts teleportation and things go really well.
Yeah,
they don't go really well.
They don't go really well.
No. It's not my favourite. I mean, I see why.
You saw it
like
later, though.
I did. Maybe if I'd
saw
seen
it
it
when
when it was like horrifyingly young.
I didn't see it when I was horrifyingly. I saw it when I was discovering movies, like when I was like 17, 18.
Okay.
Like, and I loved it.
Yeah,
I loved it.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward to critiquing it a little bit. So, okay. So, 17 is Evil Dead 2. Now, where was Evil Dead? Evil Dead 1 was 28. So, Evil Dead 2 is at 17.
Seems quite low, I'd say. For a top 20, I'd normally see it in the top 10.
Really?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay,
It's so well loved. Everyone loves this movie. And the thing is, the list that we're using, this Time Out Top 100, was put together by like loads of different horror filmmakers and horror super fans and like Stephen King and people like that. So I feel like to see it at 17 is still kind of low, but you know.
I mean, this is more of a parody sequel to Evil Dead, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it definitely ramps up the
comedy.
Have you seen?
Yeah.
You've seen it, right?
I have, like a long time ago, though. I think it's not one that I've watched repeatedly. So.
I used to watch this all the time when I was a kid, all the time.
And the next one, I think, as well. So number 16 is one of Ollie's absolute favourites, I reckon.
I think you're wrong there.
Really?
Yeah. I do love. No. Okay.
You do love it.
I do love it, but it's not my top 5.
So
let's put it like that.
Yeah. So this is An American Werewolf in London. John Landis, 1981.
2 backpackers attacked by a werewolf when they come and visit England. It's in Yorkshire. I love Yorkshire, so it's got a bit of like a soft spot in my heart as well. But yeah,
and go to a stereotypical pub.
Yeah, they do
in England. Yeah, so yeah, yeah. It's again like I think I need to watch it a few more times to really enjoy it. I remember thinking it was fine.
Fine.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Again, I think, you know, like we can definitely, you know, I'll be able to pull it apart a little bit. It'll be okay. 15 is one of my favourites.
See, now we're about to do a switch reverse.
Yeah. So 15 is Carrie, 1982, Brian De Palma.
Based on the Stephen King book.
Yes. I love the book. I love the film. I love Sissy Spacek. I think this film is great. I don't know. I think it's just a good, you know, you love a You love a bully, like bully revenge. Underdog getting, getting her own back kind of thing, but obviously with supernatural powers thrown in as well. It's gonna,
like I said, I liked
tick
it,
all the
but
boxes for me.
I liked it, but 15 might be a bit high for me.
Okay. So 14 is The Innocents. Now, this is 1961, directed by Jack Clayton. I've heard of it. I've had it recommended. It's shown up on a lot of lists. I have not seen it. I don't think I've heard of it since having it recommended in these lists when we started doing the research. So
I think of all the stuff in the top 20, this is the only one I've not seen. Mm-hmm. So yeah, but I'm looking forward to it. It sounds good.
Yeah. So this is women in charge of 2 children, so a governess and nanny. She believes that the house that they live in is haunted and that the children are possessed. Cool. Sounds great. So I'm looking forward to that. Number 13 is Don't Look Now. It came out in 1973. So this is, I think you should take over. This is one that you know way more than I do. But
well, even though I know it maybe more, I used to watch it a lot. It's very, very hard to kind of pinpoint down what the plot is. All I'd say is a couple experience the ultimate tragedy, and then it's basically them trying to piece together their life afterwards. That's as vague as I can put it, because you don't want it ruined for you again. I love this movie. Love it.
There's a few, obviously we'll try and draw the connections and stuff, but I've seen that there's a few on here which are, like people dealing with grief, and then, like weird shit starts happening and all of that. So, like, that seems to be a trope as well, like, seems to be happening. So that this could be one of the sort of original ones that was built like that. So, yeah. It's not my favourite, but I know that a lot of people love it. I know that you really enjoy it. So.
I think you'll like it more when you watch it again.
Yeah.
I'm putting some coppers down on it.
Okay. So number 12 is Night of the Living Dead. So Romero comes back again, 1968. So this is the shortest description ever. There are people, they are trapped in a farmhouse, and there are zombies.
This is like the Big Daddy, the ultimate, the original, where basically zombies became not created by voodoo, and it became sort of the zombies we know and love today. Yeah. But yeah, this is I'm looking forward to classic.
Yep. Number 11 is Suspiria, 1976, Dario Argento. Now this is good. It's so good. It's another, well, I don't really want to give away a lot of it, but there's girls. She gets into a prestigious dancing academy in Germany, and then people start dying in weird, mysterious ways.
Classic Dario Argento. He loves a good... One thing I will say about Dario Argento, he's a bit uneven, but my God, he does a good death. He can, and this has got some of the best ones in it.
It does. It's one of my faves. Now, number 10 is Jaws, 1975, Steven Spielberg.
Seems low.
It is, yeah. It's a great film. We've watched it fairly recently, right?
Within the last year or so?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah. Again, like it is a horror, but it's...
Oh no! For me,
there are people who I think would disagree with what their belief of horror is. Really,
I disagree with their disagreeing, because there's no way that Jaws is not a horror movie. So you can stick that in your pipe.
Okay.
A small American coastal town is terrorized by a shark.
The end.
If anyone has never heard of Jaws, if not, then welcome to planet Earth.
You should probably not start with this as your education. But
what are you talking about? Oh, what, you mean this podcast? Yes, don't start with this podcast. Start with Jaws. That's probably the way to go.
Right, so we're in the top 10. So number 9, Dawn of the Dead. Romero, again, 1974. So this is the classic, there are zombies in the shopping centre. or shopping mall.
It's
But
definitely
we're in England,
it's
so
definitely
we say shopping centre.
It's definitely the best of the George Romero original Dead trilogy.
Agreed.
I could watch it over and over and over again. It's one of my absolute favourites. Amazing soundtrack, amazing performances. It's funny, it's gory. It's kind of hard to beat, really. So
would you say should be higher up than 9?
Nine's
pretty good.
The thing is, you say yes, but then you look what's in front of it, and you're like, oh, okay,
It's
maybe
true.
not.
It's true, right? So we're gonna head straight into it. So, number 8, one of my absolute favourites again, Halloween, John Carpenter, 1978.
I love this film so much. When I was a kid, that I went out and bought the soundtrack on CD when I think it was the 20. When would the 25th anniversary have been?
25th, 2003.
Yeah, that sounds about right. I think I went out and bought the 25th anniversary CD of this, and I remember my parents just must have thought, "What the fuck?" And we raised this little weird kid just sitting in his room listening to the Halloween soundtrack.
And then your music, your music interests grew and changed, and they became more concerned, probably. But
yeah, as I say, they probably pray for the days of the Halloween soundtrack by the end of it.
I mean, this requires no introduction. If you're listening to this, you've managed to make it to this far. Congratulations. You know what this film's about. You know it's. Michael Myers, a town is terrorised by a silent masked killer who returns to finish the job that he started 15 years before. And it's amazing. And we watch it every Halloween. It's a classic.
Any slasher trope that you can think of was basically born from this movie. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, I'll leave up to you. But yeah.
Okay, number 7, Rosemary's Baby, 1968, Roman Polanski. A young woman starts to think that something is supernaturally wrong with her unborn child.
I've only seen this movie once, and that to me is crazy because I remember loving it, but then I've only ever seen it one time, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's Roman Polanski.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I really enjoy it. I'm not going to go into like the details of why I enjoy it until we actually get to the review. Because we're trying to keep it as spoilery free as possible.
Have you read the book?
No.
Okay.
Right, I'm going to read the book before we get to number 7. We got ages yet.
We've got a way to go.
Number 6, I'm just going to have to leave for you to do because it is.
This might be my number 2. If I was going to change, maybe 3. I think it's maybe my number 3.
It'll be in your top 5.
It'd be in my top 5.
Outside the top 5.
So number 6 is The Thing, the John Carpenter 1982 thing. I don't think horror movie practical effects ever got better than this. And I don't think special effects ever got better than this. Basically, researchers find an alien spacecraft in Antarctica, and it starts to attack them. If you've never seen it, I'm so jealous of you because it's such a fucking great movie. But yeah, I know you love it as well, right?
It's so good.
Number 5.
Number 5 is Psycho. So 1960, Alfred Hitchcock. I've literally written as a description because everyone knows this film. A woman goes to stay at a quiet motel and takes a shower.
And if it ended there, then,
everything would be fine. Everything would be fine.
I feel like this is a pretty safe bet. Whether I'd really put it in my top 5, I'm not sure, but it's incredible. It's so good. Did so many weird, unexpected things, but like I said, don't want to get into a review too much.
I think it's just.
I saw the remake
at
the cinema.
Really?
Yeah, it sucked so bad.
Why you'd think of doing that? It's a bad idea. Yeah, I think again, like we'll get into it a little bit more, like when we're looking at these horror films, like we said about Peeping Tom as well, which came out the same year. That I think it was just because of when it came out that's why it horrified so many people, and it kind of cemented itself into film history. So we'll be able to look into that. But I also remember from being a media studies student at school and having to watch the shower scene like I think 36 times in a row. And have it paused to be like, look, the knife doesn't actually go in. So yeah, that was fun.
Groundbreaking stuff from the British educational system.
Well done everyone. Number 4 is Alien, So we've had Aliens. Alien 3 is nowhere in sight, and none of the other horrific ones.
Spoilers, it could have been number 1. Alien,
1979, Ridley Scott.
Yeah, this is the one. I love this movie. It came out... When did it come out in terms of The Thing?
The Thing was 82, Alien was 79. Okay. So, yeah.
I think I'd have The Thing above this, but, that's just splitting hairs at this point. What an incredible movie. Sigourney Weaver, awesome. Effects, awesome. So, yeah. Number 3?
Number 3 is The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
So this one definitely was directed by Tobe Hooper. So Steven Spielberg, don't get the fuck out of here. You're not even up here on this list.
Yeah, so this was 1974. Teens. We've got a lot of movies where it's teens discovering things and teens exploring and stuff.
Don't know any better.
Teens do stuff.
If it was 30-year-olds like you and me, it would just be like every movie would be set around our living room.
Yeah, not leaving the house.
Teens and 30-year-olds in their living room are haunted by a supernatural presence.
Fun. So this is teens on a road trip. Meet up with a family of cannibals.
A lovely family they are.
Yeah, great.
This one is one of the other ones that I saw when I was way too young, way too young to properly see it. I saw this one when it was still banned in the UK. A friend of mine, Matt, he used to go to horror cons, and obviously they had like great bootleg horror movie VHS. And he had a copy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre signed by Gunnar Hansen, who plays Leatherface. And I remember watching it, me and my friend Matt and my friend Andy, and we just sat and it shit us up royal. To the point where Andy's parents phoned up Matt's parents and had a go at them because they were like, our son is so traumatised by what you've just shown him. So yeah, that was good. Good times.
That's amazing. I love that. Okay, so we're down to number 2. What do you think?
This could be a coin flip for me because they're both so good.
Okay, so number 2 we have The Shining. Stanley Kubrick, 1980.
I'm just thinking, I feel we have posters of... Oh no, wait, we don't have an Exorcist poster, do we? Or a Texas Chainsaw Massacre poster. Oh, I've given the top one away. You knew it was going to be The Exorcist. Come on, there's no way. Kirsty just looked at me.
Seriously,
like, what the fuck? There's no way people didn't know it was going to be The Exorcist.
If it didn't show up in the other top 100, yeah. So anyway, we have number 2, The Shining. Number 1, The Exorcist. So 2 amazing films. I think, like you said, they could be flipped, and it would still hold up. So The Shining is caretaker of an off-season hotel starts slowly losing his mind while his child discovers supernatural powers.
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into it before we do the actual episode, which is going to be a long old time. But this is incredible. This is the perfect blend of like art house movie with horror movie.
It's just so beautifully shot, and it's just it's
probably the best looking of all the movies on here. Maybe.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Definitely of all the ones I've seen, I think it might be the best looking.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
And then number
1 is The Exorcist. So William Friedkin, 1973. You know this film. You love this film. We love this film. A young girl becomes possessed, and her mother has to try and convince everyone that it's actually happening. So yeah, it's incredible. It's another one that we revisit time and time again. It is like endlessly quotable. It's just so good.
I remember this one I saw before, also not with the same friend but with a different friend, and I saw it in the best possible setting. Me and my friends had stayed up all night watching horror movies, shitty horror movies as well, like Species. Remember Species?
Oh, no,
movies like that, and we put The Exorcist on maybe at 1 o'clock in the morning, and my friend had a giant house, and he had the first big screen TV I'd ever seen. It must have been about 60 inches, and it was about the size of a fucking Volkswagen Polo. It was huge, and all of my friends had fallen asleep around me while we were watching it. So I was absolutely terrified in this pitch black house on my own. So yeah, that was good. Good times.
I thought my story was good. Like it was me and my friend. We were probably about 12, 13, something like that. and her dad had a whole bunch of he had like a sort of collection of like horror movies and different things on VHS, God, I think one of them was like Caligula or something like that. I was like kind of glad looking back that I didn't watch that.
That was his
12.
other movie collection.
Yeah, but he had The Exorcist. My friend told me that it was the one that was cut or uncut even, so it had like the spider walk and things like that in there that were not in the theatrical release when they released it later on. So I naturally borrowed it, put it in. I think I swapped the videotape out. So I swapped it out for another one and put it in another box and was like, I'm just going to borrow this. And this was years before Trainspotting when I, when they do the old video switcheroo in that. So, but I got caught. But I still watched it. And, yeah, it still holds up after all these years. It's like almost the perfect horror film, I would say.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Yeah. But that's it. So we've reached the top 100. Make sure you get on Facebook, Instagram to let us know what you think. We'll put up a little post so everyone can see what's going on. And make sure you get on there and comment and let us know what you think should be in there. Whether you agree with the top 10, the top 20. And basically let us know what we should be doing on this show. Like I said, we're still kind of figuring out what it is. If there's anything you want us to do, a particular segment or a particular kind of take on the movies that you want, then get in contact with us. We want to hear from you all. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah, this is our horror movie education as well as yours, hopefully. So yeah, please like I said, come and discuss it with us.
I've always thought of myself as a horror fan, but it's only when you see like a top 100 laid out in front of you and you think, oh god, there's like a giant chunk of these movies I've never seen, which makes me so excited as well. I feel like I'm really looking forward to watching a bunch of these movies we've not seen. So
I'm watching along with you guys.
Yeah. So what we'll do is every week we'll tell you what the next week's movie is going to be. So we'll put a link up to show you where you can get it from or where you can watch it. We'll try and kind of specify which version of the movie we're going to be watching as well, whether it's a theatrical or a director's cut. We'll post up the artwork to it. We'll try and get as much information out there for you guys as possible. Also, one thing we've not mentioned up until this point, we're going to have guests on, okay? So me and Kirsty are going to do a bunch, and then our friends love horror movies just as much as we do. So, if there's a movie that they have like a particularly strong affinity with or a strong bond with, then we'll get them on and they can talk and let us know what they thought about it. I already have plans to get my friends who I watch Sallow with back together to try and watch it with them. I'm sure they're absolutely horrified at the idea of that, but there we go. No. But yeah, anything else you want to say?
Thanks for listening. Thanks for making it to the end. Thanks for listening to us ramble. It'll be much shorter next time.
Yeah, we're gonna try and keep them under an hour for sure from now on. This one happened to be a long one, but we had to go through all 100 movies, and you had to listen to us blather on a bunch. So, Instagram and Facebook, Behind the Sofa Podcast. Right, we'll think of a way to sign off better next time. But for now, see you later.
From behind the sofa, good night.
Oh, that was good. We'll do that. Okay, perfect. Yes.